Wanted to do a follow-up of my series, Cowboy series, where we taught you how to carve a head and the body separately, or at least the bust separately. We're back together. I'm trying to find the right angle to do this. But I wanted to show you where I started and where I'm at now and all the possibilities in between, because you can just get wild and crazy with all of these guys, and I'll show you. This one was carved in 2010, is when I first started really doing these heads, and this one was one where the head and the body are all one piece. And this is where I first started out doing cowboys. I really like doing cowboys, but this is when I think I showed you the next one in the series. Cleve Taylor says, let me show you how to do it. Well, here's another one I did in between. This was 2010 as well. And I think this is the first one I did where the head is separate from the body. Still, and I followed this pattern of hats, and I looked at it and I thought, I don't really like that. This one's got a lot of dust on it. Anyway, that ain't too bad for, 11, 12 years ago when I first started. Cleve took me aside and said, let me show you how to do that. And I think I showed this on that series of videos. This is the best one I had done up to that point. Still problems with it, but it was a whole lot better than when I started. Somebody told me, said, don't do green bandanas for cowboys. You don't ever see a cowboy in a green bandana. I have no idea why. And so these ones here are from 2010. Let me grab a few more of them. And I don't have necessarily dates on these, but I have a whole bunch of them from 2010, and I think that's them there. Yeah, so I have a whole bunch of them. I've sold a bunch, given away a few for raffles or whatever, but of this bunch, these are the two best ones that I like. Anyway, this is one of them. Real simple bandana. Square sideburns, as you can see. Not necessarily the best. Carving, very flat face in terms of the eyeball. There's no eye socket there. It's really flat. So I'm still learning at that time. Knock them over. This guy too, square face, square sideburns. I missed color up under there. But there's a lot to be desired about that and a lot to be fixed. But I finally started getting the heads to match up. These two guys I like. I think I showed him in the series. This one looks kind of like Glenn Ford. Big nose, big lips. I really like him. And I think out of that 2011 bunch that I still have, this is the best one. Kind of looks like Sam Elliott a little bit, a little more weazened, a little more wrinkled, but I like that one. Simple base. In 2011, I started venturing off and getting, just a little bit different, trying to do different things and seeing where I could stretch myself. I'll show you all the ones I have left from 2011, and that's these here. This guy's real simple. This in here. He doesn't have much to him. He's got some suspender straps there. Real narrow hat. But a good looking face. Started putting facial expressions on him. Up until that point, these guys are all kind of fairly looking straightforward. Another one here. I've got to kind of be careful with some of these because the thinner you get right down here, the more likely it is that thing's going to break off. And I've broken off my fair share of them. But anyway, I like this guy. Unfortunately, he ended up with a friend of mine who passed away, and his wife says, I'm not really into caricature, so if you want to have him back, you can. Another one, real still. I'm still flat face, flat noses, flat mustache, if you can see that. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get it down and trying to play around with the bandanas. Again, this is 2011. This is only a year after I started doing these. I like this guy. He's got a black eye and a slack jaw. Somebody's punched him out a couple times. A little different base. I got a little bit of a lip there to it. But it looks okay. This fella, I got to be careful with him because head has come out several times. But, goofy looking face to him. I like the hat. I like the bandana. I like the way he looks. I'm going to have to glue that head back in if I'm going to keep him. Here's another one similar. Different facial expressions. different things going on. 2011. And then in 2011, I did this one here where it's got a little bit of different base. It's got rocks, stones, but he's just looking like a dapper fella. I'm not sure why I gave him a bandana, but anyway, there he is. I don't have anything from 13, 14, but I've got some from 15. So let me show you a few of those. This one here kind of looks like the actor Gerald McRamey. Gerald McRamey, can't remember, Gerald something. Anyway, I really like that one. That one turned out really well. I got challenged to pull the face up a little bit more on one side, and it actually worked out pretty well. Let's see. I think that might be the only one I got. No, I got a few more left from 2015. Here's the one. And some of these I have for sale on my Etsy page. If you find that, you can go look at that one. I like this one. It's got a different base to it, a little bit different base. Nice bandana, nice hat, good face to him. I call him Petey. I did another one similar to that called Charlie. I like him. He's got that sideways look to his face. You know, as a carver, looking back now, I can certainly pick apart what's wrong with all my carvings, and I can certainly find a lot of that going on as well. These couple came from 2015 as well. I did that the cowboy bib shirt with the just little brass tacks in there, just little carpet nails. But he's got a good smile to him, and I think it looks okay. At some point, you start getting pretty good at it, and you think, well, I'm really, I really got this thing going on. And here's this fella with another black eye closed up, and he's got a snarl to his face. But the sideburns aren't quite as flat as they used to be. Aren't quite as square. Got the edges cut off. Here's one that we used in the video. I showed it to you, said this is what we were going to go to, and then I made one a lot bigger than that. But anyway, I like the buttons on the shirt with the little dots on it. I like the sheen to the bandana. I like the look to his face. I think it's a pretty good one. Here's a few that I've just finished lately. This is the one we did from the series. I like him, and I think it turned out pretty good. Yeah, I could make some few things different, a few things better, but I think it turned out pretty good. Here's another one I had finished before I started this series, but I didn't paint him. So I don't know if you can see that sheen to his bandana, but I think it turned out pretty well. You get a little bit of it where it looks like it's got a lot of color to it. I'll show another one that I finished in the last couple of days, and then I'll digress a little bit. Here's another one I just finished, another one of those bib shirts. I like that face. Actually, I've had this head hanging around for several years. I got a box of heads back here, and I don't necessarily drag them out much, but sometimes I get time to put bodies to them. Here's another one. This one turned out really, really well. I like him. But that face has been sitting on my shelf probably 6-7 years, and I know I put a date of 2021 on it, but it's actually, the head was finished years ago, and I finally got around to just giving him a simple shirt. Don't take anything away from that face. I really like that face. Here's another one that's been sitting on my shelf for a while. You know, one of the things we talk about is how do you finish painting. This is one that was dipped in boiled linseed oil when I was done. And I know the camera's not doing it well, and the lighting isn't doing well either. But this one's really, really orange. And I keep him around. I probably won't sell him because that orange color is what happens with that old boiled linseed oil that I was using at the time. He's really, really orange, and I guess I could go back and touch him up, but I keep him there just as an example. Here's another head that's been sitting around for a long time. Finally put a base on him, and I like it. His face has got a real simple grin to him. But that sheen to that bandana looks like almost satiny. Here's the one I really like that I just finished again. This was the head I told you that I started when my camera went into slow-mo for some reason. I really like this guy. I like the hat. I like the bandana, or the hat band. I like the big old mustache. I might just have to keep him in my personal collection. At some point, you start to get a little bit of arrogance, thinking, hey, I'm pretty good at this, and you start doing a little bit different. This guy is set on a turn base with a bandana. He almost looks like, boy, I can't think of his name. He almost looks like that cowboy. I'm drawing a blank here on him, but he's that old goofy cowboy. We're gonna talk about this now. We're gonna go over here. I can't remember his name, but it'll come to me the moment I turn off the video. But I like this one. There's a different base, turned base on there. And then you start to think you're really all that something, and you start getting these real fancy bases to them. You know, you can do all kinds of fanciness to these things if you want to. This guy's got a little bit of, he lost one of his teeth, but I've got it sitting on two different pieces of the base, both of them hardwood, so it offsets the carving. And then I've got one. I may have to back the camera up quite a bit to fit him in there because he's pretty large. I took this one from a couple of carvings I had seen similar to it, Lynn Dowdy being one of them. But I really like this guy, and I really like the way he came out. He's just a mountain man. Called him Buckskin Bill. Got two different type of bases. It's got the fringe. There's all kinds of things I could tell you that's wrong with it. It's got very little weathering to it in terms of making it look like a buckskin shirt with all the different shadows in there. I didn't finish it with any kind of shadows. But I like this guy. I don't know whether he'll stay in my collection for a long time, but turned out to be pretty good carving, I think. Here's the problem you end up with this. I mentioned that I had a lot of heads, and I don't always bring them out when I talk about them, but I've got buckets of heads sitting around, and some of them are mine, and some of them are not. Here's another one of mine that I've done. He's just waiting on a face, or waiting on a bust. Here's another one of mine. Guy just waiting on a bust to put him in. Let's see if I've got any good ones. No, I think that's all I got that I want to show in that bucket. And here's a bunch from this other bucket. I think I got several of them in there. Some of them's even finished. Here's one. I've got him stuck in a base so I can use it as an example. But boy, he's got a great big old hat and a grin kind of looking that way. I've got, here's another one. Oh, just a goofy grin to him. But, you know, when carvers talk about their go-to carvings, it means the stuff that they really enjoy doing all the time, no matter what they're doing. Yet another one. I like this guy. I'm probably going to put a base on him here real soon, but I like the way his face turned out. Looks pretty good. We got one again, another one that has that orange color to him because of that boiled linseed oil. I've gotten completely away from using boiled linseed oil to the refined linseed oil, simply because I don't want to put a lot of time into carving something and then dip it in boiled linseed oil and find out after it's cured that's what I get. Yeah, I could go back over and repaint it, but it's still not going to give me the color I want. It's not going to give me the finish I want. I'll finish with one last one here. I got a couple heads from other people that I've gathered over the years. This is the one I just did here about, I don't know, not quite a year ago, but a real skinny hat on him. Instead of the big hat you see on some of them, real skinny one. I'm going to show off a little bit. Here's one from Gene Fuller that I got from him. Here's one from Chris Hammock. You know, you can tell Chris Hammock's carving when you see it because of the way it is. It's got that way, he's got a different way of doing the ears and the eyes, and I like that. I don't have any more over here I want to show them. Anyway, those the way those heads turn out when you do them. Oh, here's one from Rich Weatherby, cowboy head. If you've got a lot of different kinds of ideas on them, you ought to just plug them out of there. Just get them out. Here's one from Vic Otto. Anyway, I just wanted to show you some of the possibilities. When you carve these things, you end up with a pile of them. And maybe you want to keep some of them. Maybe you want to sell some of them, give them away, whatever. But you end up with a pile of cowboys, and you can just almost imagine them sitting in the bucket behind me saying, "Hey, buddy, when are you going to finish me? I put a lot of time into me." But anyway, I just wanted to show you some of what I've got in terms of the ones that I own, the ones that I've done, the ones that I've gathered from other people, bought them, given to them, had them given to me, whatever. I got quite a bit of them, and they take up a lot of space. Some of them are for sale. If you see one on there you really like during this video, get a hold of me, see if you might want to purchase one, and maybe you'll be the one to put the body on it. But anyway, this is Eric signing off, Carving with Eric. This is the follow-up to my video where we did how to carve a caricature cowboy bust. So I hope you enjoyed that series, and I hope you enjoyed just looking at some of these guys. I really enjoy them, but now they're all staring at me, so I might have to get to work on getting some of those heads done. I'll talk to you in the next series. Thanks for staying.